Feather before door, fly up, hold right, hit up, go through the door. No disrespect, Caleb, but you're talking to me like my dentist talks to her dental assistant. You can't do it anyway, it doesn't let you? What is it? And what is that? And what are those? She's reminding me of Magic the Gathering. When you play like a card that just got printed, or your opponent plays one that just got printed, and then you're like, oh, can I pick it up and read it? And they're like, well, it's basically just a reprint of blah, blah, blah. Some fucking common that was printed in like 1996. And you're like, yeah, I don't know what that is either, brother. Are you seeing my deck? It's merfolk. Obviously, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, or there'd be some dragons in this bitch. Dragons hasn't been good in forever. Excuse me, Esper Dragons went crazy at Friday Night Magic in, I'm gonna say January 2016. Next, you're gonna tell me that Siege Rhino's not dominating Standard anymore. Chat, be real with me. We still have a lot of Magic cards because we never sold them, which is what inevitably happens. Like, I want you to know, anytime you watch a streamer do like a Magic opening, Justin might be the exception, but whenever they say something like, this card is worth $100, and they spent $200 on the box, and they're like, oh, it's like half paid for itself already. No, it didn't, because it's worth $0 until you sell it. If you got the money back instantly, that'd be like a different story. But like, I worry, and I'm not prognosticating here. I'm not trying to like Jim Cramer myself, but I feel like there's like a bubble coming in Magic the Gathering when everybody who's just got a bunch of cards in their closets decides like, hey, I could like sell these cards in my closet and like get a bunch of money for it. Like, there's no way that the TCG price will hold up once I start unloading the 100 Expedition Full Art Polluted Deltas I've got, right? Like, it's just supply and command. People play the cards? Yeah, like 1/8 as many people as who collect them, though. It's like saying it's free on Game Pass. That being said, I'm like, man, maybe I should. I'm torn between either buying my daughter Pokemon cards every week for the first 18 years of her life and then selling them for her college fund, or alternatively cashing in all our Magic cards right now and just buying the S&P 500, as many shares as possible. Because we got some bangers. We got some Swords to Plowshares in that bitch. We got some Expeditions. We got a lot of cards that are probably not worth that much because they popped off in Standard, but then like after the rotation, I'm sure like nobody fucks with like Khans of Tarkir that much anymore, but you see JD Vance as a Magic head? It makes perfect sense, he's got a beard.
I want him to explain what the dorky habits he had. Did she explain?
She hesitated. I said, what are the dorky interests that he has? And she hesitated and she said, he's going to kill me for saying this, but it's Magic the Gathering, which was a card game. And some of the guys on set know about it. It's similar to like Pokemon is so popular now.
Tell me I'm wrong, chat. Tell me I'm wrong. Main currency in the future is going to be fetch lands. We got some polluted deltas. I'm just going to say it, man. We got some scalding tarns. We got some fucking, I don't know, shitty swamps or whatever they're called. Would you agree with me that the S&P 500 is the PSA of the stock world? What do you mean by PSA? Public service announcement? Prostate sphincter exam, or like the grading company for the trading cards? The sphincter one. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people seem to be getting their sphincters in a pinch over the S&P 500 right now, even though it's 1,100 points higher than it was in 2022. But I guess like people don't anchor on that. But I'm kind of anchored on that because that's the last time I was in the habit of opening Google Finance, like to see how the S&P was moving intraday, like some kind of idiot. I got shit to do now. Okay, don't get hit on the fucking airship. The temptation to glance is so strong, especially when I just saw a red message in my peripheral vision, i.e. I've been added, and it's essay length. I would love to see it, but by now it's too late because it's probably been flooded by lookings. Willem Dafoe looking up from the lighthouse. So I don't need to see it anymore. Oh, I see it. Did you see that there was tech where you can X-ray packs to see what the rare is? Yeah, but like I don't know, man. Like a hobby's a hobby, and I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum. But like I don't think you should be buying the cards for like speculative value to begin with. Like I don't know. I hate to, because this is kind of being like needlessly virtuous. You can do whatever you want, but the idea that like one of the reasons that I collect cards with like fucking electric rats on them is because the EV is like high or something like that. And I'm like, I just don't. It's just kind of a little yucky to me. Like I think you got to take the good with the bad though, and part of the good. Well, you know what it is? I mean, like, this is not necessarily a fair take, and I acknowledge that. I see it as, like, these games were, like, designed for people to play, mostly children, because adults don't have as much time, usually. And I'm, like, I noticed it with Magic, too, like, people get to the point sometimes where like they actually know more about like the cash value of the cards than they do about like what the cards do. Like they spend more time on TCG Player than they actually do like with the playmat on Rolled. It's a hobby, that's fine, but I also feel like, you know, taking that level of speculation into it, it can be good for some people, financially speaking, but it can also lead to like the hobby becoming more exclusive and pricing out people that maybe were originally the target audience for it, i.e. children. But I'm trying not to get like the Pokemon community even more riled up with me than they are for those times when I mistakenly think Luxray is a dark type. I mean, it's an electric type because it's yellow, but it's not a dark type because it's black. But like, I feel like Pokemon in particular, there's kind of like a semi-embarrassing millennial trend of like, this isn't for kids, this is like for my never-ending childhood. And, you know, I get it, don't get me wrong. But I'm also at the same time, like, maybe it's separate from the card speculation issue, but did you see a couple of years ago when they released the Pikachu merch at the Vincent van Gogh Museum? And it was all motherfuckers who look like me, that were like bumping into each other and like throwing elbows to try to get the Pikachu with his ear cut off and stuff like that. It's just like, it wouldn't be me, let's put it that way. I fell in the larva. As soon as things become scarce, they become more valuable if lots of people want them. I don't know, I'm just kind of spinning my wheels here. I guess what I'm trying to say is if you think that the card collecting hobby is cooked because of that, were you in it for the right reasons anyway? And admittedly, I'll just acknowledge I'm kind of ignorant. You might be. You might be playing with those cards like crazy. My stereotype of people collecting Pokemon cards is that it's kind of like a slot machine. Then you sleeve the good cards, throw the rest in the trash, and then never play, like never actually build a deck and play with them. But I don't know, I might be wrong. Obviously, though, this is kind of like influenced by the fact that like I have a 3-year-old. So I go into the card shop and I'm like, why the fuck is this so expensive, man? And then there's like fucking 58-year-old motherfucker in there with 7 first edition holo Charizards on a chain. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, and again, it's hard. Don't take it as like, I'm not saying it's morally bankrupt. Because, you know, you're enjoying yourself, and that's, you know, adding more net good to the world, I suppose. For you. Watching Bluey, though? Well, like, I feel like it's fine to watch Bluey, like, if you have a kid. If you don't have a kid, you can watch Bluey. You should just, like, have your guard up, you know? Because you're going to catch some straights over the middle. Keep your hands up is what I'm trying to say. Because, like, the shots are coming. You keep your head on a swivel. Anyway, stop asking me questions that lead to negative answers, because then, like, they get clipped out of context, and then, like, 14-year-old kids from Central America, like, send me death threats on TikTok, okay? So you're like, I gotta be smart enough to not answer it, because I always feel like if I just answer this with nuance, people will be like, it's just one guy's opinion, but it's always like, streamer from Ivory, it's easy for you to say when your net worth according to Google is $100 billion. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? That's off by like a few orders of magnitude in either direction, okay? Do you care about people watching Bluey as adults? See, this is a bait question, but I'm going to answer it anyway because it's just one man's opinion. I don't care, but I care so far as to like make a lighthearted jab at it from time to time, which I understand they're not used to because the show that they watch doesn't inspire negative emotions in a safe environment, and as a result, they don't know how to handle being the butt of a joke, even in a lighthearted context. Hey, that's not true. There were lighthearted. There were negative emotions in the episode. We thought they were going to sell the family house, but then they didn't sell the family house. You were right about Bluey. They'd be beating the shit out of the dad. Listen, it's mostly a joke. Dan was singing the Bluey theme song in his stream today, and I typed in, this episode is called Bingo and Bluey beat the shit out of dad with shovels while mom's at the spa. And people, it's not a real episode, but if you believed it for a second, maybe it could be. I saw one episode of Bluey, they almost knocked their, they almost knocked their dad out cold. It's a good show. I do think, like, I don't think it's a problem. We got bigger problems in society. I do think, if I'm putting it politely, the dad in Bluey is paying for the sins of the fathers of previous generations. He shouldn't be expected to tolerate that kind of physical abuse. He shouldn't be expected to be carrying so much of the load just because his grandfather was like probably like an alcoholic piece of shit. But apparently, like, that if you ever try to like argue that, it's like, well, yeah, but in 1903 your male ancestors like weren't doing anything, so now you gotta like do a little more. What's his name? Bandit? Sorry, Bandit. The sins of the grandfather passed to the sins of the son, man, apparently. Don't hit me with a question mark leaking penis. This shit, my dissertation was on this. So yeah, I'd say Bluey red pilled me. It's not really the mom's fault in Bluey either. Like, she usually says, like, stop hitting your dad. She could say it with, you know, her full voice a little more often, but... And then also, you gotta take the dubs that you get as a parent. You know, it's hard to be a mom too. If they say we want to give mom a spa day and like dad, you know, we can play a little rougher with him. What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to say, hey mom, take the cucumbers off your eyes and, you know, take some hits from the rake? Like, nah, man, you take the wins you can get. So it's like some days you get the spa day and the mom gets the hammers, and some day you get the hammers and the mom gets the spa day. It's the way of the world. I'm just saying, on Bluey, the mom is getting a lot of spa days, and the dad seems to be getting more than his fair share of hammers. That's all I'm just asking questions, man. Why is Bluey problematic? People don't like the take. I don't think it's problematic. If there's anything problematic about it, I think it's that the dad is too good. Sets an unrealistic standard for like how a dad should behave. Like, you know, he's a good dad to his kids, but there's such a thing as being like too good of a dad. He should also model like, hey, don't scratch the shit out of me with rakes. Like, that shit's not acceptable. Boop, boop, boop. This episode of Bluey is called 4 Cans of Foster's. Let's go! 2 cans of Foster's deep, he gets a phone call from the school that fucking Bingo threw up. Oh, fucking hell, mate. At 8:15 in the fucking morning, lad. Yes. Phoebe Longneck. 20 to 8 in the fucking morning. Get it. What does he say? Get on it, yeah. Get it in ya. Something like that. I was just in my car trying to keep my blood pressure down. When I wake up in the morning, dog, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, then I look at you. And the words, me smashing my steering wheel with the Bill Withers in the background. Just one look at you. And I know it's gonna be, and then you gotta take a big breath for this one, because he goes, a lovely day, and he just keeps it going for like, I don't even know, it's like, that might be like a 41-second note if I had to guess. You know that song? I don't, we need to do like a reverse Bandle here. It came on the radio yesterday. It's the one that's like, we were always having fun and doing for the thrill of it. We were always sucking cock and coming for the thrill of it. We were always kissing dudes and fucking for the thrill. Like it's just, if you're gonna suck my cock, then swallow for the thrill of it. Like it's just, the lines write themselves.